Purewal for ID Boxing, take two. Quick error there with my settings, but yeah, here we promoted Eddie Hearn. Eddie straight into it. Pacheco, Cullen, was it difficult to keep the card on?
No, you know, we sold so many tickets for this card that obviously we've had some back because of Callum Smith, etc. But you've got Paddy Lacey, Aqib Fiaz, Campbell Hatton, Peter McGrail, Johnny Fisher, Robbie Davis Jr., who, you know, we'll have nearly 5,000 in there on Saturday night, even with the main event falling through. And we've got some really good fights. Pacheco, one of the best young stars in world boxing, all of a sudden headlining against Jack Cullen, who we've seen in so many great fights. Robbie Davis in a really tough fight against Irish Darragh Foley. Vicky Wilkinson against Rhiannon Dixon for the Commonwealth title. Johnny Fisher, Aqib Fiaz in a great fight. Peter McGrail in his first 10-rounder. I think he's one of the best stars in boxing, prospects in boxing. Really good card, and looking forward to a big night on Saturday.
Pacheco Cullen itself, Jack's a 9-1 underdog.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're sometimes victim of hype, aren't we? And there's a huge amount of hype behind Diego Pacheco. The reality is this is the toughest fight of his career. Jack Cullen, he's got, as he said, massive set of bollocks. He's got big fan base coming from Little Lever. He thinks he can win this fight. And Pacheco, all of a sudden, thrust in the limelight in Liverpool, headlining, been doing media all week. I think it's going to be a great fight. Two huge super middleweights, both like 6'5". Really good fight.
Eddie, away from his card onto Conor Benn. Now, we haven't had a chance to speak since the statements first and foremost were released. In the WBC statement, they suggested that eggs could have been a reason behind clomiphene being in Conor's system. Conor then come out denied that he ever said that within his 270-page document. Your thoughts on the difference in opinion in the statement?
Exactly what you just said. I mean, look, we know that, having spoke to the scientists, and of course that was a decision from the WBC scientists, not from Conor Benn scientists, that there is a big problem with contamination of eggs and clomiphene. Conor Benn never said that's the reason why I failed my test. We know that that is a reason that trace amounts can be fine in tests. So he wanted to make that statement. People don't really listen, Andy. People are still saying, oh, eggs, like it, maybe. But that's not Conor Benn's reasoning. People talk about presenting the 270-page document to the board. He's about to have a massive legal case with the board. He's not about to present his document. What I want to try and do is bring the parties together to try and get Conor Benn to fight in the UK at some point. I'm really done talking about it now. Conor's spoken enough. We've spoke about it every day for 6 months. We are about to announce Conor Benn's next fight. It's going to be absolutely huge, and we're going to focus on that. We do want to bring the board in. We do want to get them comfortable with clearing Conor Benn to fight in the UK, but that's not where his next fight will be.
Would you not create a worse image if his next fight was to go away from the UK, given everything that's still going on and his reluctance to speak to the British Boxing Board of Control?
Not at all. You know, he's free to fight wherever he wants in the world. You know, that could be Australia, that could be the Middle East, that could be America, it could be Italy, it could be Spain, wherever. There's no reason why he shouldn't be sanctioned to fight. He hasn't got a British Boxing Board of Control licence. One day they want to completely isolate VADA and say they do not take any instructions from VADA, as we saw in the Billy Joe Saunders case. Now they all of a sudden want to. He's passed all his UK tests. The whole thing's a mess, Andy. But they do need to get together, and hopefully we can be the ones to bridge that gap. I think the board are acting with a load of ego. I think Conor Benn's acting with a load of ego. And for me, I want Conor Benn's career to resume in the UK. And to do that, we all need to come together and make sure they're comfortable, and we will do it.
Eddie, a lot of people feel that Conor's reputation has taken a hit on the back of a Piers Morgan's interview, especially. But with all of this in mind as well, do you agree with that? Do you think Conor's reputation's in a bad place?
I think so. Yeah, I think Conor Benn's the bad man. No one really wants to listen to him. People have already made their mind up. I've never seen such a reaction from the boxing world. People every day tweeting about it. Fighters, news outlets, broadcasters, everybody. You've got bigger names that have failed drug tests in the past. No one even talks about it. But anyway, it is what it is. He's the bad guy. We're going to focus on his career resuming, which will be in June, and a massive fight announced shortly.
On June, I've heard rumours of June 3rd and Manny Pacquiao certainly being a name which has been bandied about out in the UAE. Sean Gibbons is tweeting you relentlessly about that as well. Yeah,
Manny Pacquiao wants that fight with Conor Benn. We like the fight. There are negotiations going on. We've had multiple offers from sites to stage that fight. We're in discussions for it. Conor wants to tear Eubank Jr. to part. I love that fight. I think it's a fight that obviously would now be at 160, and I think it's a huge fight. There's another big name American fight that we're considering as well. The hard work is taking place, and there will be an announcement on Conor Benn's next fight, possibly next week.
Can you divulge any more on the 7 misconduct charges that the board placed against Conor?
Yeah, this was the reason actually that he didn't renew his licence. He was fined, I think it was close to £100,000 for nothing to do with the investigation into drug testing, and he felt there was no chance that he was going to get a fair crack at the whip. So he He didn't renew his licence and never got round to that, and legal action will be pending. And then after this big mess, absolutely sit down with the board, give him the document, give a chance to review him and clear his name.
Eddie, Chris Eubank Jr tweeted in the aftermath of a PS interview saying that he's 100% convinced now that in his opinion Conor's a cheat, and then Conor followed up saying that Junior tried to bribe him with £1 million. Can you just elaborate as to where that comes
all these people, you know, at the end of the day, Chris Eubank and his doctors got the test results and the levels, knew that it wasn't performance enhancing, and decided to progress with the fight. And then 2 days before the fight, asked for £1 million extra. So, you know, that fight has gone from like, yeah, family history and to an absolute hatred between them. And we have to find a way to get those two in the ring. Chris Eubank Jr will probably make twice what he will to fight Liam Smith. Up to him.
Eddie, away from Conor, it seems like we won't see Fury-Usyk next if a reports are believed to be true. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
When's everyone going to wake up? You know, I'm fighting for nothing. I give my money away to charity. It's not about the money for me, it's about legacy. Absolute bullshit. It's about as much money as you want. He knows how difficult a fight against Alexander Usyk is, and he wants financially rewarding for that. Not a problem. But don't say all the other stuff. Let me tell you something now. There's a young man called Anthony Joshua who fought Alexander Usyk twice back to back. No questions, no tough negotiations. That's my mandatory challenger, I'll face him. I just got beat by him, guess what? I'll face him again. Back to back, never ducked a challenge, and on April the 1st, AJ's back at the O2 to make a statement. Real guy, real fighter, don't talk shit on social media, and ready to go.
Just very quickly, Eddie, in terms of mandatories for Usyk, we know that Dubois is meant to be next, but he's out injured, and then Hrgovic with the IBF was previously ordered and then rescinded. Any talks maybe in the background?
Yes, there have been some talks, not with me. Frank Smith, I believe, has spoke to Alex Krasuk, just to say, ready to go with Hrgovic. You know, if Usyk doesn't get a fight with Fury, he needs to fight, and he has to take care of his mandatories, as Anthony Joshua did his entire career.
And final one, people have been mentioning poor ticket sales for AJ Franklin. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, really? We've got couple of thousand left. We haven't given tickets out yet for the undercard. We'll be completely full on the night, and you know, at the end of the day, you want to listen to bullshit or you want to see a real fighter. You see Anthony Joshua back in action with vengeance at the O2 on April the 1st.
Thank you, Eddie.